With Nova Terra Worldbearer, the Titan series has come to an end. But that doesn't mean that's the end of the story. In fact, it's really just the beginning, sort of the opening act of what I have planned for Thorn and all of his friends. Well, as you can see somewhere on the screen, we are going to be doing a tier list because I am constantly getting the question, how powerful is everyone at the end of the series? My name is Seth. I'm a full-time author who writes fantasy and makes YouTube videos about being an author. So if that's the sort of stuff you're into, definitely stick around. Go ahead and like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. But let's get right into this. Today, I want to explore how powerful are these characters. A little bit of a caveat, there are going to be some spoilery-ish stuff in this video. I am not going to spoil the story to the best of my ability, but if you are really concerned about spoilers, then maybe watch one of my other videos. I am going to explore, however, the power levels of the characters after the full 10 books. I have another caveat, but I'll get to it when I get to it. This is a question that actually keeps me up at night. This is a question that keeps me up at night because as we move into the Tower series, which is the continuation of the story that I tell about Thorn and Nova Terra and all of his friends, well, I need to know how powerful everybody is. And so wrestling through this question has been a lot of fun for me personally, and I thought it would be really fun to share some of my thoughts with all of you. So let's just jump into it. We're going to start. I'm going to go through this list as it is set up here. So I guess it's not. Is that? Yeah, I think that's alphabetical. We're just going to do that. Let's set up some ground rules. I'm going to be talking about all of these characters in their relative power level compared to the rest of the world, not necessarily compared to each other. So this is going to be using sort of the standard strength of Nova Terra as our baseline, and we're going to rank everybody according to that. Understanding that people have different strengths, I'm going to sort of pick whatever they're strongest at, and I'll talk about that, as well as sort of where they would rank in combat ability. And then at the end, we're going to answer the question, who would win in a battle royale? That is, everybody on everybody fighting. We'll see. Stick around to the end of the video to find out who I think would win. Because obviously this is a highly subjective thing, and I am super happy to be persuaded otherwise if you think that my list is totally bogus. In fact, if you think my list is totally bogus and you can prove it through excerpts from the book or through an argument based on the material in the books, and you give it to me in the comments below, I will remake this video if you can actually prove it. So a challenge for you if you're interested in taking that on. Let's get started, however. The first character that we are going to take a look at is, of course, everyone's favorite battle pet. That would be Akira. Now, if this were a contest of fluffiness, Akira would be S tier. Absolutely. 100%. If it was a contest of, let's say, cuteness, Akira would be S tier. Absolutely 100%. If it were, let's say, a contest of who the best Alluridae in Nova Terra is, or even the universe, it would certainly be Akira. She would be S tier. As it is, this is a combat question, and when it comes to combat, in terms of her overall strength compared to everything else in Nova Terra, it's really kind of tough because we only ever really see her fighting in concert with Thorn. And Thorn, no spoilers, is something of a powerhouse, and his team is really, really strong as well. And so we don't really get a chance to see Akira in action just by herself. However, what I will say is that with the advent of her lots of fireballs and even more fireballs spells, she is really pretty strong. So for me, Akira hovered in between A and B in terms of combat ability. I would say that I would put her at a low A or a high B. However, her cuteness is enough to just tip her over the edge in my mind. I mean, seeing her on the battlefield, her opponents might be disarmed by how cute and fluffy she is, and that would just give her the edge she needs to be in that A rank. All right. Everybody's favorite Mad Master Alchemist. Alf is a weird one. If you were to rank him simply based on physical ability, he would be below D. He would be probably in the F rank. He is just not good at anything physical. I've actually been having a huge amount of fun. I'm writing his story right now, and it's just so fun. It's so fun. But part of the reason it's fun is because he's such a different character than Thorn, who's physically imposing. Alf is not physically imposing at all. He's also not coordinated. He has a very low coordination. But what Alf does have is the uncanny ability to take various materials, put them together, and turn them into a super weapon. And just reading through the books, it would be really hard not to give Alf S tier. I would say this, though. In one-on-one combat, his greatest strength, which is apocalyptic potions, can't really be put to work. In a battle against lots and lots of people, he is definitely going to do very well. However, in a battle against a single opponent, his potions are typically going to be a little bit too dispersed. Now, if they were concentrated, that would be really good. But if they were concentrated, he might just end the world. So Alf is a really tricky one. Just based on pure destructive ability, though, I think I'm going to have to give Alf S tier, especially by the end of the series. If you've read that far, you know what I'm talking about. He's pretty powerful, especially when it comes to mass battle. So then we have Athena. Again, Athena is an interesting one because her abilities really work best in concert with other people. She's really good at buffing the rest of her team. Now, as far as personal combat ability, she is highly skilled with her shield and her sword, but in terms of sort of pure power, most of her strength comes from having a bunch of allies and buffing them really, really, really well. And so I would actually put Athena in the C rank. I wouldn't say she's D, though, again, if we look at the people who are on this list, and then we just think about her combat ability compared to their combat ability, I'm actually going to have to move her down. I'm going to have to move her down to D. I think that she... that's hard. Part of the problem is I don't want her to be in D because I think she's really cool. I'm really excited about her character and sort of what she does. But you know what? Because she is a buffer, because her main fighting style is getting other people and buffing them, I am going to have to say that she's probably in the D rank, which is a bummer. That's a bummer because I think she's cool. But it's okay because her strengths are in buffing other people, and we'll get to see a lot of those things moving forward. So that brings us to Corvo, the all-seeing eye. Corvo is the avatar of Hugin and is best known for how observant he is. Nothing escapes his vision. And in fact, while you might think that Corvo's abilities are only so-so, maybe even on par with Athena's, he has one distinct advantage that is almost unbeatable, actually, in Nova Terra. And that is that he can see everything. And when I say everything, I mean just about everything. He can see people's status, he can see people's moves, he can see trajectories of pretty much any attack. He has foresight, and so his sight is so good, he knows things are going to happen before they actually happen, which makes him incredibly dangerous. We don't get to see him fight a whole lot in the series, but it's sort of hinted at here and there that he's actually really, really dangerous. But really dangerous doesn't necessarily mean really strong, because Corvo in a one-on-one battle is not necessarily going to have the punch that some of these other characters have. Certainly not Elf, certainly not Akira. I mean, Akira in her battle form could probably just squash him if she could catch him. But that's part of the problem, is that his style is based around evasion, not necessarily, long drawn-out fights. So I would actually say that Corvo is actually probably pretty similar to Athena in terms of combat ability or skill, but because he has the ability to see practically everything, and pretty much nothing can escape his eye or trick him, he is going to probably be in that C rank as well. So now we have Mina. Mina is probably one of my favorite characters. I say probably. She is one of my favorite characters. She's a character that I had very different plans for, but she actually developed in a way that I was really proud of. And I know that's weird to say because, I'm writing the character, so I get to decide what her story arc is, but she developed very differently than I thought she would. When I wrote her, she was a villain, actually. And I don't know if that can be sort of seen in the beginning of the series, but as the story progressed, she really changed. She surprised me. She started doing things that I didn't actually anticipate. And I would read them over again and be like, oh, wow, this is really fascinating. And then I just sort of continued with it. And she really turned into a character that I absolutely adored writing. As far as combat ability, Mina is probably one of the best magic users and PvPers in Nova Terra. And that's been stated multiple times throughout the books. It is pretty much unquestionable. Her grasp of timing when it comes to spells and her ability to manipulate mana and manipulate magic and use her ice in creative ways, her ice magic in creative ways, is just astounding compared to other people. And so if I were to put Mina up against, say, Akira, I think Mina would come out on top. Part of that is just experience. She knows a lot more about fighting than Akira does. She's done a lot more of it. This extra experience is really going to sort of give her the edge over Akira. However, when it comes to pure power, by the end of the series, she has even started to move up into that S-tier combat ability. Again, no spoilers, but anybody who's read the books knows exactly what I'm talking about. When she begins to start having control over multiple kinds of magic, her level of danger just skyrockets. Her ability to manipulate situations and manipulate the battlefield increases. She gets a lot trickier, and she's able to use all of her combat experience to her advantage to overpower opponents who are physically a lot stronger than her. And she's just such a good fighter that she wins out in situations where she's maybe not quite as powerful as her opponent. So I would actually say that by the end of the series, Mina is S tier. Oberlin. Oberlin is an interesting character because he would be F- all the way through most of the books. However, as we get into the later books, he starts to realize that if he wants to keep up with his friends, he's got to bring something to the party. That, or he keeps getting thrown into these really dangerous situations and finally just gets fed up and says, enough is enough. I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to figure out how to do this fighting thing. So I would say that he's starting to work his way up. His particular style of fighting is very dangerous. And in a one-on-one fight, because of his style of fighting, and again, trying not to spoil anything here, but because of his style of fighting, I think that he would actually beat Athena. I think Corvo would have a lot of trouble with him. However, I think Akira would not have any trouble with him, and both Alf and Mina would just sit on him. Well, not Alf so much, but Alf's potions pretty much end any fight. So, in this ranking, I would probably put Oberlin at a C, except that because of his style of fighting, he's going to have advantage over anybody else in the C category or in the D category or below. And so that would probably bump him up to a B, but probably a really, really low B. And if he was fighting one-on-one with somebody else who's in that sort of mid-range of this power level, he probably wouldn't come out on top. Part of that is a lack of experience. However, Oberlin is a very tricky guy. He is incredibly adept at not being where danger is. And so a fight against him probably would, first of all, drag on for a really, really long time. But second of all, if you could even catch him, you might be hard-pressed to actually do any real damage to him. This brings us to Thorn. There is just no question. Thorn is written as an OP protagonist. He is completely OP, beyond OP. He's so OP that sometimes it made me sick, and I was writing him. Often, actually, I would write a scene, and then I'd be like, well, he can just punch his way out of this. And then I would have one of the other characters say something sarcastic to him, because that's how I was feeling at the time. So some of Mina's words are like how I was feeling as I was writing this ridiculous character who can pretty much punch his way out of any problem. So in terms of strict combat ability, however, Thorn is a monster. He is a real monster. He is overwhelmingly strong. He is incredibly coordinated considering his size. He's fast. He has just a serious amount of energy and firepower behind him. With the addition of magic in the later books, he just gets even stronger. His ability to process things, though, is probably his strongest ability. His ability to process information and react to it and control pretty much everything about himself and his immediate vicinity. And that ability is just so unbelievably broken. It's not even funny. By the end of book 10, there is no question that he would just win in a fight against anybody in Nova Terra, hands down, no problem. So I'm going to dial him back a little bit. And I'm going to say sort of midway through book 10 is the character that we're going to use in our battle royale at the end of this video. Thorn is awesome and super OP, but the series is about him, and so it's not quite fair to have him in this, but he's awesome, so I'm going to leave him in there. Vaylin. Vaylin is another of my favorite characters. I was really surprised with sort of how she developed. However, when it comes to pure combat ability, you might be surprised to find out that she is probably only a B. Again, when we're talking about a one-on-one fight, her major strengths don't come into play because her major strengths by the end of the series are command and control. And so she is really, really good at controlling the battlefield. She's really, really good at coordinating people. She's really, really good at fighting against an enemy that's large in number. But she's not really very good in that one-on-one confrontation. And she's certainly not helpless. I would say that she would probably be able to beat Oberlin, but I think she would be hard-pressed, actually, to beat Akira. Part of that is just Akira's speed and strength in her battle form, but part of that is also just that Vaylin's powers are not designed for single combat. They're designed to control an entire battlefield. So this is how I would probably rank everybody. Up in S tier, we have Alf, we have Mina, we have Thorn. I'm pretty sure everybody saw that coming. In the A rank, we have Akira. I don't know, maybe you didn't see that coming. For B rank, or B tier, we have Oberlin and Vaylin. C is Corvo, and D is Athena. And now, our battle royale. So, if I was setting up this scene, this is how it would go. And by all means, if you think it would go differently, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know who your favorite of these characters is and where you would rank them, if you would change any of these rankings. All right, the battle royale. The scene would start, of course, with a fight between Mina and Thorn. It's happened before, and Mina was always a sore loser, so she's been really annoyed ever since it did happen that Thorn beat her. She thinks with her new powers that she could probably take him on. Akira is also really excited to fight because Akira's excited about everything, and she decides that everybody should participate in this fun, friendly activity. The nice thing about Nova Terra is that you can set up a duel and everybody can go all out, and then at the end, everybody's fine. Everybody's friends. Athena is one of the next to jump in. She knows she's going to lose, but doesn't particularly care. She's there to play spoiler. Corvo is like, well, if Mina's going to be in and Akira's probably going to be helping Thorn, so I got to come in and balance the scales. Oberlin and Valen and Alf, who are all just sort of standing there, are dragged into it through Mina and Akira, encouraging them to join the fight. So here we have our fight. Everybody has set up. Thorn is going to be using his earth magic. He's going to be dominating the center of the battlefield, but he's also going to be the first one that everybody gangs up on, including Akira. Because Akira, for all of her love of her master, understands she's smart. In fact, she is the smartest Alluridae. And she understands that if Thorn holds the center of the battlefield, nobody else is going to win. And so in a cheeky plot twist, Valen coordinates with all of the other characters, with Athena, with Corvo, with Akira, with Alf, and with Mina, to assault Thorn first. Athena uses her powers to buff all of her new allies. Oberlin summons his spiders. Corvo keeps a running tally of what Thorn is actually doing. And Alf got distracted. Alf got distracted because he thought of an awesome new potion. And he is busy over in the corner putting it together. And so the fight commences. You have Mina using her ice and fate magic on Thorn to try to stop him. And pretty soon, Thorn is just stuck. He is stuck in this giant morass. He can't fight properly. He can't apply his strength anywhere because Corvo's calling him out. Athena is buffing to stop him. Valen is tangling him up. Akira and Mina are peppering him, and Oberlin is just generally being irritating and trying to do as much confusion as possible. However, Thorn is a bit tricky himself and is able to get his hands on Oberlin, understanding that starting with the weakest physically is probably the best idea. And so he hammers Oberlin as fast as possible. He thought for a moment about going after Alf, but nobody actually wants to go after Alf. Nobody knows what's going to happen if they go after Alf. And so everybody's just sort of giving him a wide berth as he's over there cackling and concocting. So Thorn goes after Oberlin, manages to catch him out, and in a second, Oberlin is out of the game. But that also buys time for Mina and Akira to land some pretty serious shots on Thorn. Valen, meanwhile, is starting the second part of her plot. She is summoning trees. She is working with Athena. And in a surprising turn of events, they jump on Mina, helping Thorn pin her down and using Thorn to eliminate her. In a last desperate attempt to do some damage on the battlefield, Mina goes supernova, completely freezing the entire field, except for Corvo, who's been flying above the battlefield, keeping an eye on everything. Seeing his chance, he strikes. But not Thorn, because killing Thorn is just too hard. Instead, he's after Valen. After all, she betrayed Mina, and he's going to get some revenge. And so he dives down and goes to stab Valen. But Thorn, being the gentleman that he is, steps in front of the blow and takes it head on. Unfortunately, taking a blow from Corvo is not an easy thing to do. And he is out. So, Thorn has fallen, Mina has fallen, Oberlin has fallen. We have Valen, Corvo, Athena, and Alf, and Akira left. Akira, angry that Corvo took Thorn down, makes it her goal to eat him. And meanwhile, Valen and Athena start fighting among themselves. Alf is still working on this potion. The fight between Akira and Corvo goes pretty much how you would expect. As insightful as Corvo is, he simply cannot get through Akira's defenses, and ultimately she takes him down. On the other side, Valen and Athena are fighting back and forth, but Valen, powered by the World Tree, is just too strong and takes Athena down. This leaves us with Akira and Valen fighting against one another. Alf is still in the corner. Akira and Valen in an epic showdown of fire and nature magic clash, but the fire magic has the edge, and Akira ultimately wins out, leaving her facing Alf. Akira, completely forgetting that Alf is part of it, declares that she is won and exits the battlefield. Alf, on the other hand, finally finishes his potion, pulls it out, looks around, and there is nobody to throw it at. And that is how a battle royale between all of the main characters of Nova Terra would go if I were writing it. But like I said, that's just my version of the story. I want to hear your version of the story. So go ahead and in the comments below, let me know who you think would win in a battle royale. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the Tower series. It's out on Patreon and will be coming to Audible and will be coming to Amazon in March of 2023. Also, if you're interested in joining the community around Nova Terra, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, but also go and check us out on Facebook. You can join the Nova Terra Facebook group. We also have a Discord where we like to chat and talk about Nova Terra and all sorts of other cool stuff. So, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.